Hello, everyone. Welcome. Let me start by introducing myself. I'm Abby. I'm the Director of Client here at Mention Me. I'm really passionate about creating excellent customer experience. For our clients, that really means putting you at the center of our decision making. And for our customers, that means really thinking about their journeys, how they interact with your brand and what's important to them. So I'll kick off with a bit of a background about us, Mention Me. Here we are. We've got over 400 clients at the moment across lots of different verticals. We were set up a little over 7 years ago to really help businesses take advantage of customer advocacy through referral. And today we have the ability to do so much more than that, going wider and deeper than referral by serving different messages to different groups of customers. The data that we sit on and the optimization we do allows the brands we work with to better understand how their customers engage with their brand, speak to their friends, and come back to purchase again and again. And so that's why I'm here today. We've learned so much since we started all those years ago, and over the last year in particular, there's been a massive shift in consumer behavior. I'm here today to talk to you about how to use your customer base as an engine for growth. And I want to keep this session as interactive as possible. So please feel free to ask lots of questions by typing them in the chat box, and I'll answer as many as possible during the Q&A session at the end. Let's get into it then. So over the last 12 months, everything has changed. I'm sure you're all aware. This is the first day I've been back in the office and it's absolutely freezing. I've got my coat wrapped around my waist at the moment to try and keep me warm. So apologies if I seem a little shaky. COVID has had a massive impact. I never thought that I wouldn't be in an office for nearly a year. And it's just a little bit crazy. What we've done off the back of this is kind of defined these 4 different segments and how basically defining how different businesses reacted to COVID and everything that's gone on. So starting with the nest builders, these were the stockpilers that happened at the start of the first lockdown. So things like groceries, gifting and wellness. We also had a group called the pandemic pauses. And unfortunately, these were the businesses that really couldn't survive during this time. So had to put a pause on any business during that time. So things like experience brands or travel have really struggled. Then we had the homework heroes. These were the guys or brands that made us working from home just that little bit extra special, if we can call it special anyway. But these were the ones who helped us deliver our DIY projects, our hobbies, different beauty things that we were trialing out, whatever it was. We've seen a massive boom within these businesses. And then we also have the revivalists. So these are the ones who are seeing huge growth as we come out of lockdown. And I'm happy to be saying that we're coming out of lockdown. It feels pretty great to be able to say that. But these are the ones that are like helping kids get back to school. Again, something I'm sure lots of people are excited about, seeing their kids go back to school, or sports brands, and barbecues or anything kind of around those things. The type of business you are and how your customers interact with you and the products you sell have created significant differences in how businesses performed over the last year. And it's not stopped just there. Coronavirus continues to take its toll, and it appears as though we're headed towards a bit of a recession, which is not ideal. And we're also we've faced Brexit, which has changed and is still changing the way businesses are run. We're all adapting to the new landscape. So we've kind of mapped out how each of these different segments have performed over the last year, just to call out a couple. So the homework heroes, you can literally see the impact of the first lockdown from around mid-March, a huge spike with that kind of yellow bar going up, and then another big spike in November as well, which is a vast contrast to the pandemic pauses, who saw a massive decline during the first lockdown, some recovery during the summer, but then another impact during that second lockdown. It really has been a bit of a changing year and so many different impacts across the board. Groceries and food have had the biggest shift in purchasing behaviour, with 47% more buying online and 11% of those for the first time. Gift brands, which I'm happy to see are on this list, also saw a significant uplift as we tried to make not seeing our friends and family try to cover the gaps of not seeing our friends and family by perking them up with sweet gifts and all sorts to kind of make people feel better and offer support for loved ones from a safe distance. And of course, homeware brands also prospered. I don't know about you, but I've certainly taken on a few DIY projects, more recently sanding floors, and I really wouldn't recommend it. But B&Q has become my friend over the last few months. And then even sectors typically associated with being outside the home drove demand for the right offering, with 42% of customers have bought more online from fashion brands over the past year as well. But no matter how your brand has performed over 2020, we all have that one thing in common. And that's how to take your business to the next level is through your customers. Your customers are your biggest advocates, and learning how to untap and open up that opportunity is imperative to your brand's growth. The most successful brands are harnessing their existing customers as an engine for growth. What this means is that they're creating loyal, high-value customers beyond the first purchase that go on to refer their friends. But it's hard. We're in a world where trust's in decline, and it's ever more difficult to cut through all of the noise online. My brain certainly hasn't been focused on my favorite brands, and instead more on like the infection rate of my local area, or when am I going to get my vaccine? Things I certainly had no idea about before, but I'm following closely at the moment. And we've seen it hard across all of our clients. A huge 68% of customers only buy once. So there's huge potential to engage customers better, to drive meaningful customer relationships and create more value on both sides. Customer-led growth is relevant to all of us, and we need to recognise we're all going through these tough times. And it's during these tough times that we really that our customers become ever more important, because these are the be-all and end-all of a successful brand, and therefore understanding them and working with them is key. So this flywheel that I've got on screen at the moment is what we want to achieve. At the top, we have referrals. So you ask your customers to bring in their friends to your website or your brand, and this creates new customers, which is great. These new customers will be more valuable, as we typically see that they spend more and return more than new customers acquired through other acquisition channels. And then you must drive engagement and follow on with loyalty so that repeat purchase becomes a habit. So we have this really lovely virtuous circle that will repeat itself over and over again. But as I said, in order to thrive, you must first understand your customer. And it really is about getting inside your customer's head and see your brand from their perspective. To achieve this, I want you to all to ask yourselves, why do your customers really love your brand? Or why do your customers want to be associated with your brand? Or what do you want your brand to be known for? And then what are you going to ask your customers to speak to their friends about? You really need to understand what drives your customers to come back and how they can drive your growth through referral. But it's super easy for me to sit here and say all of this. We all know referral is hard, and it's hard because we're relying on two people. We've got that social interaction between those two people, and you have to make them want to refer. Encouraging new customers to site is really only one side of the story. We also want them to come back again and again. So you need to understand why they would want to do that. I think, well, it's not even over the last few years, it's over quite a long time now. Brands have been focusing on conversion rate optimization and getting people from the homepage all the way through to the checkout. But with that, we've missed this huge opportunity to build a deeper relationship with your customer, as we've kind of taken them through, I guess, the operational side of a website and forgotten to kind of build that brand and kind of all of those other touch points that you might have throughout. Interactions have massively shifted since we've all adapted to this new norm. We can no longer go into shops, which means we can't try on clothes, smell perfume, or anything else like hand creams, whatever it is. But those word of mouth recommendations have become more important than ever, as we're relying on those around us to introduce us to new brands and recommend us new products. I don't think this is just a lockdown thing, and I don't see it changing anytime soon. I think even when shops reopen for a while anyway, we're still going to have limited number of people in store. We're still going to be wearing masks, and we're still going to be unable to try on clothes. So we really need to rethink the way consumers are interacting with our brands as the physical space of the shop evolves. And actually, I was reading an article yesterday about H&M and how they're planning to redesign their stores. Obviously, they have a huge number of physical spaces, so it's going to be interesting to see what they get up to. And also, let's not forget about all this added screen time that we're experiencing right now. I mean, thank you for, again, joining another screen-related call, because I know the majority of you will have been on a series of Zoom calls right up to this and probably finishing the rest of your day in the same way. And that's very much how I've been working. Not only that, but it's then shutting the laptop and just sitting down and watching Netflix. It feels all too much. So escaping away from the screen, picking up the phone, talking to your friends about what food delivery service they have coming on a Friday, or even the books they've been reading, it's all more important to get that human interaction and to achieve that word of mouth referral. But a brand's trust is earned, not bought. In order for your customers to come back to your site again and refer you to their friends and family, they have to be able to trust you. We've always believed that trust is a real essential ingredient to marketing success. And after all of last year and the roller coaster that it was, we believe it even more. And we're not the only ones. 70% of consumers believe brand trust is more important now than in the past. And when it comes to finding brands they rely on, people turn to their friends. 51% trust their partner or friend's recommendation more than any other advertising. That's because they know their friends wouldn't recommend a brand that would make them look bad. And in lockdown 2020, online orders and referrals soared for many businesses. People weren't just buying for themselves, they were telling loved ones about the businesses that could make their lives that little bit easier during this unsettling time. 82% of consumers have recommended a brand over the last year. So for the fourth year running, consumers most trust brand recommendations from their friends. This beats even our partners and other halves by about 7%. Interestingly, men trust their partners' recommendations more than women do. Not sure what that says about the men and women, but never mind. And it's not only those around us that we trust, but actually online reviews came up in third place here with 13%, beating recommendations from our children, parents and colleagues as well. And trailing at the bottom, and not something we've even included in this chart, is a politician's brand recommendation. Just 0.65% of consumers are likely to buy from a brand recommended by their local MP or political figure. I'm actually surprised it's even that, but anyway, never mind. I think what is more surprising is that just 2.8% trust influencers' recommendations. So we've seen a huge spike in the use of influencers within marketing, and lots of people spending lots of their budgets kind of targeting specific people to promote their products. But actually, I think what's happened is the market has become so saturated that now we're hit by so many different messages and we're turning to those that we trust more. So friends, family, those around us rather than kind of people from outside that. Every year, we run an advocacy survey and ask every year, how important are the following brand qualities to you when considering referring them to a friend or family member? 95% of respondents said a brand they could trust as important or very important. And the Edelman Trust Barometer Special Report, Brand Trust, sorry, it's a bit of a mouthful and I quite often get it wrong, so worth taking my time on it. In 2020 revealed that brands face a fundamental reordering of priorities amid a global pandemic. 53% of consumers' buying decisions are influenced by a brand they trust. 73% believe brand trust is more important now than in the past. 81% said personal vulnerability such as health, financial stability and privacy is a reason why brand trust has become more important. And 74% say a brand's impact on society is a reason why brand trust has become more important too. So we've gone on a lot about how trust is imperative to referral, but how do you go about and earn it? It really is living up to your brand values is a sure way for your customers to grow their trust in your brand marketing, referring you to their friends and keeping them coming back for more. But what are the other traits that help referrals and encourage customers to come back to your brand? The second to trust is great customer service and free delivery or returns. highlighting the importance of balancing that emotional brand connection and with practicalities. People put their reputations on the line when they recommend a brand to others. So if their friend has a poor experience, it'll likely reflect badly on them. This makes meeting expectations like responsive customer support and free delivery even more important. Consumers simply won't trust brands that risk falling short of their friends' approval. And actually, last year, one of my colleagues was analysing some data for one of our clients and noticed a huge drop-off in volume. We did some digging, but couldn't understand quite what was causing the behaviour. Nothing shouting at us. So we hopped on a call with our stakeholder and learned that they'd actually changed their fulfilment centre. And since that moment, the majority of orders were incorrect. And when I say incorrect, I mean wrong items, missing items, full nightmare situation. And they generated a significant number of complaints. The timelines lined up almost immediately with the drop-off in new customers. And it really demonstrated the importance of getting it right. Word spreads super fast, and putting your customer experience first is key in delivering a successful referral program. This year's results also highlight a continued focus on the wider impact of our buying decisions. So if you can see on this chart, we've got 32% considering green credentials, very important when recommending brands. Consumers are becoming increasingly aware of their environmental footprint and want to make ethical purchases they can be proud of. And we've seen a shift with the way that our customers are starting to speak to their customers as well. So we've started to see changes in creatives or messaging to promote kind of sustainable and ethical messages to customers. And we have started to see a shift in brands away from Black Friday and heavy discounting, which I'm excited to see. I've actually got an example that I'll show you in a second. In addition to this, we also have response to COVID. So 30% of consumers are more likely to recommend a brand that responded well to the global crisis. I'm not surprised by this at all. We had a lot of the brands we worked with over the last year who again changed their messaging, changed their creatives to reflect what had happened, as well as in some cases set up specific campaigns for frontline workers to kind of to show their support during this time. As I said, I had a few examples, so here they are. We've got the example at the top is from All Plants, who rebranded Black Friday to Green Friday and planted a tree for every successful referral. It was a really great way for this vegan brand to stand out during a competitive season. There is so much value in a business making it clear what they stand for and how what they're doing is having a positive impact. We also saw Lola's Cupcakes, and I'm sure you're looking at this slide going like, don't see Lola's Cupcakes here, should be full of sweet treats and delicious looking cakes. But actually, they realized at the start of lockdown that they had the ability to diversify their product. So they started doing fruit and veg boxes delivered and acquired so many new customers that they maybe wouldn't have got previously, which was a really great way to kind of get their brand out there. And then finally, we have Ted Baker. So when everyone started to work from home, you can imagine Ted Baker being a events-driven business in a way that like you go to weddings or you go to the races or whatever it is, and you go to Ted Baker to get your fancy gear. But they really wanted to create a meaningful online community to brighten people's moods. The clients that do the best are the ones who fundamentally care. And if you don't take anything else away from today, that's the one thing I want you to take. It's all very well and good saying that you'll do something, but you have to make a meaningful impact and action your promises in order to live up to your true brand values. So moving on to why people don't recommend your brand. We've talked to poor customer experience already, which does appear near the top of the list, but it's also poor quality products and misleading marketing that are key in why people don't recommend brands. This really does highlight how brands that prioritize resolving these issues can drive long-term results. As well as a disappointing product and service, the opinions of others can prevent brand recommendations. More than 8 in 10 consumers wouldn't recommend a brand that's had negative press coverage or been advised against by a friend. Going against the status quo is a risk, and recommending brands with poor reputations could make the customer look bad themselves. So how do we go about getting people to return more frequently, spend more with your brand, and get them to recommend more to their loved ones? It's all about customer engagement. Make your customers feel special, engage with them throughout the entire life cycle with you. So this is what we call the points of delight, or thinking about the points of delight for your customers. So it's kind of highlighting all the different touch points that you might have with your brand, from when someone first signs up to waits for their delivery, gets their delivery, receives their delivery, and kind of all the way through. Hopefully not to cancelling subscription, but again, that could be the case. But there's so many different points that someone engages with your brand, and it's really important that you're thinking about all those different touch points. Brands may be tempted to drive repeat purchases with discounts, but really meaningful relationships are the key to unlocking long-term revenue. Consumers want brands that appreciate them. Interestingly, loyalty programs aren't a major consideration when recommending brands, but they do motivate customers to return. 40% are likely to buy again from brands that reward loyalty. Unsurprisingly, people don't tend to recommend brands that they wouldn't buy from again themselves. The businesses that get the basics right, like listening to customer feedback and providing good products, can both drive repeat purchases and referrals. This in turn will build high customer lifetime value and deliver sustainable revenue. So we've talked a lot about when you engage with your customers, so kind of like thinking about the whole customer journey, but how do you do it? There are so many different messages that you could serve to speak with your customers. And to get it right, you really need to understand what makes your customers tick, what gets your customer base going. So there's a few different messages here. And I think the key is kind of combining the two. So thinking about which messages will be relevant at which points in your customer journey. So, for example, offering a discount on the next order, yes, it appears top of this list, but it might most suit serving that when someone's immediately placed an order. They already have the buying mindset. They've just seen all of your products, so they're very clear on like what's available to them. Versus offering video tutorials, which might actually make more sense when a customer has received their product, because that's when they're going to start using it. So really thinking about when, not only when the messages and where the messages are you should serve. But what do we mean by all of this? I've gone through a lot, and I want to take you through some customer examples of people who've been serving, or clients who've been serving, relevant messages at different points in the customer journey. So Fatface, I'm sure you all know, they're a high street brand with a heavy focus on bricks and mortar stores. They first influenced our referral solution in 2018. It performed consistently well, with 15% of recommendations converting into new customers. But 96% of Fatface, customers didn't engage with referrals. So a huge opportunity for us to do something different. And actually at the start of last year, Fatface implemented our full platform. So not just referral, but also giving them the ability to build brand advocacy through serving alternative messages to specific client segments. The starting point for them was segmenting quite simply based on first and second order. So for first purchases, they tested serving referral message versus discount on the next order. And actually for them, the discount won. But to build on this further, Fatface decided to segment second order by discount usage. So if someone had already used a discount, they wanted to serve them referral or a brand message promoting a charity. For those who hadn't used a discount, they saw referral message or a discount on their next order. And then the pandemic hit, priorities changed, and there was a new focus. Obviously, they have a huge number of bricks and mortar store, and they wanted to engage more customers online. A key way to start doing that is to build the Fatface community and kind of drive newsletter signups. So that really was a key priority, and that was we started testing that against referral. Interestingly, when we analysed the data, as much as referral looked like it was winning in the short term, over the longer term, newsletter signups were delivering more revenue overall. So it really is about testing and understanding which message works at which point in your customer journey. It's so important to help you achieve your business goals. Moving on to another example, we have Truva. And for those of you who don't know, Truva is a marketplace that enables over 800 independent boutiques across 13 countries to sell online. We've worked together since 2015, so we've had quite a long and prosperous relationship. It's been excellent. And their mission is to create really great customer experience and encouraging customers to come back. They've worked super closely with our onboarding team to get things set up. And then they worked with their dedicated client manager to try over 30 different messages across their segments. And as you can see from this slide, they've used various elements I mentioned before, from offering a discount to driving the next purchase to building that brand affinity through education. And as well as driving a healthy number of new customers, Truva's Mention Me program resulted in a significant uplift to repeat revenue for customers moving from first to second order. Whoa, that was a lot to take in, and I definitely need a break. But before we kind of switch over to questions and those sorts of things, I wanted to give you 5 key points. As much as I told you earlier that there was that one key point I wanted you to take away, I've got 5 now that hopefully you can take away with you today. So the first is you need to get into the head of your customers, truly understand them, see the brand from their perspective. The second is trust. We talked about it so much, but this none of this works if people don't truly trust your brand. The third, live up to your brand values, invest in top customer service, and make it easy for your customers to return their items if needed. Be the brand that you would want to buy from. Fourth, it's engage with your customers throughout their life cycle. There are so many touch points that you can make your customers feel special that will motivate them to come back. And finally, serve the message at the right time. Each customer is different and we all have different needs. So tailoring your messaging will create brand advocacy. Amazing. Right, that's me kind of wrapped up on my presentation. We do have some time for questions, so please feel free to type them into the chat and I will try and answer them. Okay, I can already see some questions, which is amazing. So we have one from Hayley asking, what are the best referral rewards? And it's a tough one because, Hayley, I don't know where you're from, but it really depends on the brand. So I would really recommend, if you're starting up the referral programs, to start testing different referral rewards. You have to think about, if you have a product that's really only a one-time purchase, should you be looking at other third-party discounts that you can provide versus a product that someone might come back and purchase again and again, like fashion clothes or anything like that. Maybe you want to offer a percentage off or a pound off or whatever it is. But I really would, when you're starting to think about your referral rewards, it's thinking about how to set this apart. It's not just a discount that you can serve on your site that anyone can get access to. We're asking your customers to do something for you, so you have to make it appealing, and to have it as the best reward that you can serve on the website is the best way to do. We have a question from Alice on how does the integration work. So the integration is super simple. It's just a case of a few tags, or actually 2 tags in 3 different locations. It's one tag that exists on your confirmation page to encourage, that basically tracks your orders, and then that serves our referral message through it. But it's super simple to get set up, and we have an excellent team of onboarding project managers to help you through the whole integration. A question from Rachel on what would the benefit of Mention Me over a loyalty program that includes referral in their platform? I think this is a good question, Rachel. For me, we know referral, this is our bread and butter. We are the experts. We work with so many different brands, so we really do drive to make sure that referral works best for you. I think it's deciding what's best in class, basically, versus just an add-on in another platform. There's so many questions. This is actually amazing. Super engaged audience. Great. So Jenny, is there an ability to let the user choose between more than one reward, i.e. customer credit, e-voucher, charity donation? So choosing the reward, we definitely have the ability. We have a few clients set up to do this, especially with third-party vouchers. So whether they choose to have an Amazon voucher, a Tesco voucher, an M&S voucher, whatever it is, there are abilities to choose that reward through working with our partners. It's a little bit more complicated on our website, but I'd be interested to understand more. David, does the referral marketing work well for finance products? So it's interesting. We do have quite a few clients within the finance sector, and it really depends on, I would say yes, but it depends on your USPs and what you deem to be the kind of things that would set you apart as a brand. I think finance products, especially over the last year, have been interesting as people have become more and more concerned with kind of their own financial situation. So actually having recommendations from friends has been, well, personally for me, been very beneficial, but we see it working with some financial brands too. Alice, can you tell me a little bit more about A/B testing? Of course. So we can do lots of different A/B testing for you. We typically set up an A/B testing roadmap when we first start working together, and we have the ability to test by cohort, which means that we can properly kind of assess the long-term value of those different messages. But we can test different messages, different creatives, different share options, which is particularly important when you start to think about other countries and how, for example, UK and US, WhatsApp is used heavily here and SMS is used heavily in the US. So it's really important to test all those different features. And we can also test obviously incentives and those sorts of things. Ian, can you share the slide deck after the session? Of course we can, we'll do that. And Sophie, can you segment customers and test different messages, incentives? Oh yeah, Sophie, I think I've just answered that question, so that's fine. And then Alice again, how do you know if a customer's gaming? So we have a lot of different parameters within or different variables that we assess customers against. So we can work with you to set up the best gaming rules to begin with. But we do basic things like understanding whether a customer's new or existing. And we do, so yeah, new or existing. And then we can look at rules like whether they're using the same IP address, whether they are same cookie, same name, those sorts of things. So there's lots of different rules that we can have set up. Oh, Maria, sorry, I think I missed your question at the beginning. Do you have any referral examples for real estate and hospitality? So real estate, not off the top of my head, hospitality more so, in that we work with a few brands who work within the hospitality sector as well, to kind of drive referrals through, I guess Tastecard is one of our clients, to help to kind of get the message out there. But I do think it could work for hospitality. I'd be interested to understand specifically what you're doing. Maybe drop me a message after this and we can talk about it. I'll make sure I get in contact with you somehow. And Alice, loads of questions. Can you tell me more about offline name sharing? Of course. So name share is a unique feature of Mention Me. It allows us, and I think it was developed because we understood the absolute importance of being able to speak to people and say, like, I haven't been going to parties, but if I go to a party and someone says, great, where's your dress from? It gives us the opportunity to just enter name at checkout rather than having to remember a specific link or something that's a little bit more difficult to remember. Everyone remembers your name. So this works by, we have another tag that would exist on your basket page, and all of our connections happen, all of our kind of lookups happen against email address. So we store the email address and the name of every customer that comes through. And so, yeah, it works really well. It typically drives around 40% of our new customers for majority of our clients. So I really would recommend, if you're thinking of doing referral, I would really recommend that you start with launching that. Maria again, sorry. We are a long-term rental company like Airbnb and we have furnished apartments across 12 cities around the world. We are looking for a referral program. I mean, I think the thing with this is that, referral works super well with Airbnb itself. That's kind of how the business was set up. And a lot of like Ubers, Airbnbs, all of these have started from referral in many ways. So I think it would be really interesting to get this set up, especially as we've seen it work elsewhere. And we do have trying to think off the top of my head if we have specific clients in the space, but yeah, it would definitely be interesting. Erica, any specific tips to avoid or reduce frauds? So lots of things. We monitor, like I would have a look at your, we kind of set it up at the beginning anyway to make sure that we kind of reduce frauds as much as possible. But we'll continue to monitor it throughout the partnership with us. But from the beginning, we would always do things like set kind of velocity controls around your how often people can use the referral reward, or how many people can refer their friends, and those sorts of things, so that we have kind of base rules in place. And then we can tweak as we go along the gaming rules if there are issues in place. I'll take this as the last question, I think, because there's so many. I'm so happy that people have been so engaged. But from Charlotte, is there a ballpark timeline between implementation and seeing results? We have quite high ticket products, so it's likely to take a moment to take hold. Pushing mentioned me onto my end. Okay, what should I tell him in terms of seeing a return? Yes, so referral isn't something that you can switch on instantly and it just works. Like it does take time for you to let your customers know that exists in the first place. So that's a key thing to ensure that people are aware of. And then it takes time for your customers to then build those relationships with their friends and talk about the brand with their friends. So it does take some time. It's hard because different brands perform in different ways. Some people see instant results, but I would say for us to get to a ramped program where you're starting to see proper value, it takes 6 months to be fully ramped. But obviously you're seeing value all the way through from the start, and kind of we ramp up as we continuously optimize and understand more and more about your customers through that time. Amazing. That was so many questions. I've never had this with a webinar before. So thank you so much for being so engaged. I think that's it for now. I'm exhausted, but do feel free. Maria, I'm interested to chat to you a little bit more, and obviously anyone else who wants to, so feel free to contact me on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for tuning in, and again, spending more time on another screen. It was great to have you all here with us today, and I'll be following up with the recording and the slides and everything. So speak soon and take care. It was great chatting. Thank you. Bye.